Hi, my name is Madi and I'm a Colorado knitter, and this is my YouTube channel and podcast about knitting, making, yarn purchases, all the fun things. I thank you so much for watching and checking me out. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've watched before, thanks for coming back. I never feel totally prepared to do this, but I really enjoy hearing your feedback and meeting folks in person, and I wouldn't have happened without you guys and without just jumping in. So today what I'll talk about is a little bit about flock, my yarn haul, and a little bit about what I've been knitting. I don't feel like I have tons to share on that aspect of the podcast, but I'm still excited to knit all the things and try all the things. Right now, my biggest problem is not casting new things on. So first of all, you can find me on Instagram at Colorado Knitter and on Ravelry, Colorado 5 Knitter, and I will keep going. I will kind of glance at my photos to try to remind myself on each and every little thing. On Instagram, I did post a little reel about my first day at Flock so that it would be fresh in my mind and full of excitement and energy. Still feeling like I'm playing a little bit of catch up, of course, with the house and loving to be with everybody back at home. But per usual, we got a mess going on. So to start off, what I'm wearing the Paintbrush tank, and it will be released, I believe it'll be released this weekend. The design is by Briana Arlene. I knit mine more like a vest versus a tank, but I knit mine using linen quill, the dark denim, and then the oat is here at the bottom. And I'll post some pictures on Instagram once the pattern is released. But I love how it fits as a tank for me. It does work well. Super quick and fun knit. Very fun colorwork pattern down here with elongated stitches down to mimic that paintbrush flower effect. But very great pattern, very fun designer to work with. And she has a wonderful template on her patterns where she has links to YouTube for some tips and tricks and tutorials, which is really nice. Okay, so what I think I'll start with is what I've been working on, which is very little, but I wanted to give a chance to folks who maybe not interested in hearing about flock or not wanting to see a yarn haul, because sometimes it's tempting to want the yarn, or some folks are just not interested in that. So I'll talk about what I've been knitting and working on, and then I'll go into flock. So let's see what I can find for you. I probably won't even do it in order, but I will try my best to hold off and talk about flock at the end. So what I have is I did buy last week before I went, Summer Lee Knits released Colorwork Sock Club, where she will release a new cuff, I believe, Colorwork cuff or Colorwork sock once a month. I think it goes, that's how it works for a year. And so there was 2 for the first month, which I think I was surprised. I thought this was the only one, but how awesome. I also am realizing they have some stuff over there, so I'll have to get up. But I started this one off and I made both cuffs, which I probably don't have next to me because, like I said, never fully prepared to hop on and do this. I think if I waited till I was totally ready, I would never do it. So you get the real unorganized me. So this is my first cuff, and what I love about it is that it is still a German twisted cast on for me because that works well for my leg. And this is a different cuff than I've done before. It is a 2x1, which I really like the effect. It's still quite stretchy, but you see the beautiful yarn. I like the 2x1. It's really nice. And then I didn't know this either, but it's kind of mimicking a granny square. So I think she has it called it the granny square cuff or sock. And I use, starting up here, it's Coats & Co. Is that what it's called? Yes, Coats & Co. company, sock company. So this color up here. And then I have a mixture going on. I believe these two top minis are Sonder Yarn minis from her BFL sock base. This one right here, this turquoise aqua, is Needles at the Ready, a superwash, merino superwash and nylon base. Then this next one is Le Garçon, the same base as Saunders, a BFL base. And then back to the Coats & Co. And I believe the last two are Sonder again. And actually the leg I'm doing in a knit pick stroll. I had started the leg with more of a kind of a white with some light pale blue undertones, but I didn't love it. So I went with a stroll gray. And I took this in flock and did this a little bit in line while I waited to get in. But it was nice to just have something pretty vanilla once I did the fun color work part. And then I have a Hello Lavender stitch marker on there, which are amazing and weightless and awesome. So that was one thing I worked on. Let me see if I can find the other thing that's probably buried under here. I should pause this and look for it properly. I'm not gonna find it. Let me get up and see if I can find it. So this is not what I was looking for, but I will show you because this is what I kind of focused on before I left last weekend. And I showed this a while back that I had started, and this is the WabiSabi sock. And look at how pretty. I think I had done maybe two right here. And so again, German twisted cast on. This one is a 2x2 ribbing. And then it's color work, vertical color work all the way down. I've noticed that I do best with color work socks on, so casting on with a US 1 and then moving into the sock either at a US 2.5 or a US 3. And over the course of the day, sometimes a superwash sock kind of will get loose for me, but I have a really hard time squeezing a sock that's tighter than a US 1 64 stitch. So I think I'm just gonna stick with that count. And so when I do the color work, which is usually tighter than my normal stockinette stitch, I need to go up 2.5 or 3. But the colors are awesome. They're all Sonder yarn minis. The heel is a heel flap and gusset, and the gusset is amazing. It took me a minute to understand what I was trying to do here, but the way that it incorporates the stripes is pretty awesome. So the WabiSabi socks, so I'll keep working on those, and they're very fun. It works best for me if I cast on both right away. This one I didn't, but the Summerly Colorwork socks, as I said, I have both cuffs done, which is super helpful. What I'm looking for now is I have one more of, it's that second sock from the Colorwork sock set. And so I might not find it, but it's so beautiful. I want to show you. I'll try one more time. I just realized it's in the car, so that's terrible. I guess I'll have to show you next time because it's really beautiful. I have the second cuff here, but I don't have the colorwork portion of it, which I realize now it is in the car because I'm just working on the foot of that one. And I don't think I know how to pause and resume. So we'll just show you next time. But I have the cuff here and it has beautiful flowers on it. And I'll keep it for next time. The last thing I worked on a little bit before I left was a little bit more of the framed sweater. It's not too much progress, but I'll still show you. As I'm off screen, most of this video is awesome. But it kind of just shows a little bit more of the pattern. So this is almost an entire repeat completed. Let's see the best part to show. And so again, I'm using Diamond Lane. For the mane, I'm using Diamond Lane, and then I'm holding it with Fua Fua from Moondrake, and then I'm using Spin Cycle, the worsted weight Spin Cycle for the mane. And I think oh wow, I am so not prepared. I think I was more thinking I was just gonna do my haul. It's Dream State, maybe, or Dyed in Wool. It's the worsted weight, and I think it's Stay Ready. That's the color. It's Stay Ready, but it's a fun one to work with. A fun pattern. I like the colors, how they're coming out, and I would say that I'm about done with that one chart repeat. So we'll see how this goes. Right now, my main focus is finishing up a test knit, which I'll give you a little glimpse. It needs a good block. This test knit is by Tressa Weidenaar. I think that's how you say her name. Let's peek because I don't want to say it wrong. I'm probably gonna still say it wrong, but at least I could see the spelling, and I'll link it below, and I'll show some of her other designs up here. Tressa Weidenaar, and she has beautiful designs, and this one is a textured yoke, and it definitely needs a soak, so I don't know how much you'll be able to see what's going on, but it's a beautiful textured yoke. I have pretty much both sleeves done, and it is in Pishkun DK from Farmer's Daughter in the Buffalo Gal color, and it's on a size 8 needle, so that goes pretty quick, but I love the texture. I'm excited to see what it looks like after I soak it. Once I finish this sleeve here, I will soak it to see what it looks like and kind of have a good idea on the length. So that's what I've been doing all over the place. My brain wants to cast on all the things, but I'm going to try to finish a few things before I cast on. I even have a list. We'll see if it works for me to have this list and finish things up. So that was short and sweet as far as what I was working on. If folks don't want to see or hear about flock too much, then that's what I'm going to talk about next. So flock was amazing. I'm going to look back at my pictures just to kind of give me a refresher on the day. So let's see. Flying in was easy, no big deal. Denver to Seattle, and then I did try the Link transit train, which was pretty awesome. I did have to ask some questions to some people waiting for the train because there was 2 and I didn't know which one to get on, but it finally did work out, and I got on, and it was $3 to get from the airport to downtown, which was pretty amazing. And then I checked in, beautiful hotel. I saw Amy from WabiSabi in the elevator, and I pretty much had stage fright. So I didn't say too much, but she was quite pleasant and lovely. I probably knew that I didn't know what to say. But then after that, I walked out to, let's see, it's Gary Knits. Let's see, I'm gonna look up his Instagram because I believe he and Prof Purl organized a pre-game party. Gary Knits, Gary Rides, yeah. So pre-game flock festival at one of the restaurants that was down walkable from the hotel and the venue. And so I did go say hi there. And of course, it's always awkward walking in somewhere alone. But then I saw Melissa from Stitches Be Slippin' and Nicole from Purl and met some others. And it was really fun to just be able to sit and knit and talk and just have the common ground of knitting and going to flock. So that was first day, first night. Flock morning, I didn't really know what time I wanted to go. I'm not a big, I don't want to stand in line for something that maybe is exclusive for the moment or the day. But I just love watching everybody in the environment. And so what I did is just kind of leisurely got a cup of coffee. It was really good coffee in Seattle. And then went over to flock and stood in line for just a bit. It was masked and the venue was beautiful. You got to go inside right away and then stand in line. So, you know, if it had been too hot or too cold or raining, it was a beautiful setup for checking in. And it was probably about 10:30 or so when I went in, and it was amazing. Inside was beautiful. It was easily escapable as far as if you needed a minute to get away from crowds or lines or noise. It was very easy to step away and have a very peaceful, either a classroom, a hallway, these stairs that were gorgeous, and I'll put a picture here. Some folks on Instagram took more beautiful pictures of the venue, and it was a stunning place to be in it, and plenty of space to have space if you needed it, which was very, very thoughtful, I feel like, of Jess and all the folks who made flock happen. So I knew that I needed and wanted to just walk around and kind of soak it in for the first round, because if folks haven't been to a marketplace or a festival, I didn't know before I went to Knit City that this is how it was. But oftentimes it's in something like a convention center, which is just open. So the vendors do a beautiful job making their little cubicle or zone stand out and look unique and their own, which is hard if it's just an open room. I mean, they put walls, they put curtains, they do a beautiful job. So much work. And so I wanted to walk around and look, and so you kind of walk around between the vendors. And then I can't believe I even forgot. Starting off, so I get in, I will show a picture of the line as you walk into this beautiful building. And then I get inside and I'm in line and we're all masked, and I see two Jethro cardigans that are very familiar from YouTube, and it was Kevin and Ray. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I just saw them walk by. And then Kevin and Ray from Needles at the Ready. And then I had made them two little sock bags, kind of similar to mine, where I clip it on my belt loop to knit as I go. And I had made them for them, maybe with the intention that they could use it while Kevin does different pop-ups for his yarn company. But I thought, okay, I'll just go give it to them, because they were in the hallway looking for coffee. They had quite the travel adventure. And so I was able to give them a squeeze and a hug, and they're so nice and so funny and so great. And it's always weird when you feel like you know them and they probably don't know you. But it was definitely a highlight. I had hoped and wanted to meet them and see them, and so I'm so happy I got to. And then I was hoping to get selected for a test knit for Olga Putano, but I didn't, which is totally okay. But I went and saw the guys from Le Garçon, and I did buy their yarn because I love the BFL base, Blue Face Leicester base, and this I was trying to focus on sport weight yarn for my purchases. And this is 70% BFL and 30% mash and wool, non-superwash. It's a British sport. However, in all the excitement, I got 2 sport. One is natural, and this is the Legger Sans tag. I'm in kind of a different light, so hopefully it still shows up well for you. And then I have Edith's Butler, and this blue. And the intention was a Colorwork sweater, but in the hustle and bustle, I bought a DK. And it was crazy. The booth was crazy busy. I could have, had I known at the hotel, I could have easily switched it out and done the right thing the next day, but I didn't even know till I got home. But this is Edith's Butler in British DK, which is also beautiful. I already planned to make a beanie with it because it's gorgeous yarn and I love the color. So I only have the one of this. And then to go with the Colorwork, I had wanted to try their fluff. This is in correlate. I think it's I think it is a collaboration with a yarn story, who's in Bath, I think. Yarns, I think, is kind of the collaboration, because here's the label that has both. And I've been wanting to try fluff, and this is a sport weight fluff where you can use it on its own. And it's baby alpaca, fine merino wool, and mulberry silk, and yak. But I got these 2 colors. And again, it was supposed to go with this, but I kind of messed up my mane. But I'm still thinking maybe as a vest would be kind of cool. The Island to Island vest by Mary Mucklestone was an idea. And this is called Lavender Tea. I adore the color, and this one's Mist. And of course, I love this color. So I wondered how it would look, because it was going to be Colorwork, and now I wonder how it would look as a Colorwork vest. The original Colorwork it was supposed to be was more like a kind of like stripy Colorwork, so I wonder if it would be crisp enough for something that Mary Mucklestone designs, which is very traditional Shetland Colorwork. So I might see how it is, but I like them together. I'm sure I have something in my stash that would work. The next stop I did was, let's see, let me look at my pictures and then I can maybe remember. It was Hello Lavender, who originally had a line that was, I feel like Explorer Knits and Hello Lavender's lines were crazy long, which is beautiful and wonderful, and I'm so happy how successful they were and have been. They worked so hard, so it was pretty amazing to see. But I've always loved Hello Lavender, and I got to see their booth and their stitch markers in person. And I didn't go right away, so I was actually quite pleasantly surprised that they still had this specific set that was for Flock. And I think you can see it says Flock Fiber Festival. Does it have the year? Yes, with a year on that one. And the cute sheep. And then I also got their ladybug, which I think they also did specifically for this festival. I love these stitch markers because I actually love this kind of a clasp where it can be just a normal ring stitch marker, or you can open it to be a progress keeper. So I love that you can do either one. And then the last set I got were these. So that was my next stop. I love Hello Lavender. Again, I love how light it all is. Then I kind of walked around a little bit, and it was by then 12 o'clock, so masks came off if you were comfortable. A lot of folks wore them throughout the day, which it was a very welcoming place for that, and I love that everyone felt comfortable doing what they felt best doing. But then I got to see Michael of Piece for Piece Crafting. I think I always say Piece for Piece Knitting, but Piece for Piece Crafting. He gives probably the world's best hugs. He was so wonderful and so kind, and I definitely was in shock meeting all these people who I've been watching on YouTube. And then I got to see Kevin and Ray again, and we got a picture without our masks, and they're also hilarious and so fun. I am jealous of all the people who get to hang out with these people on the regular. It's pretty awesome. Such amazing folks. After that, I did, I did visit Coats and Co. company, because her colors, it is superwash, and I said I was going to try to stay away from superwash, but her colors are so unique and amazing, and I just couldn't. So this is the cottage sock, which is 75% superwash merino, and it's Coats and Co. And this is for my future socks with the Summerly patterns, the Colorwork patterns. And I was very into these two minis to go with it. And this is Meadowland American wool, and it says 85% merino, 15% tencel. And this is the Seattle Somerset. And I was intrigued by this base on these minis. But look at how pretty those are. And you can see with this one, I mean, that is amazing. Here's the label again. And I had to get it because it's Seattle's. It's special for them. And then here's the second mini set I got, and this is the Pacific Northwest tonal set. Again, in the 85% merino and 15% tencel. And these colors, and again, it still goes with this. So I'm pretty excited about those for the Colorwork socks. Finally, I stopped at the Pacific Knit Co. for the doodle decks. I had been eyeing this desert one, and they had it, and I wanted to have their special one that you kind of can collect them. I believe they have them for like different festivals or events. I'm not going to turn it around because that's the chart, but it's a little sheep to go with their, for the Flock Fiber Festival. So it's kind of a fun memory if you collected those. And then the last place I went that very first day, was to Junebug and Darling, which I've seen these sets at Fancy Tiger Crafts way back in the day, and I've had one of their sets before. I have not ever finished their sets, but I did buy this one and this one. And I started this one so I can show that to you. It's coming along nicely. I don't really know the rules of cross stitch. I've always liked the effect and the look of them, but I definitely am just making it up as I go. I don't really know the rules and the best way to go about things with cross stitch, but I think it's a fun little kit, and it's always nice to have everything you need with you. And so it came with all of the embroidery floss, which there's gonna be tons left. And then I've had this little needle keeper before. But I love doing that, and I love a kit. That's so fun to have a kit. Okay, I think that was day one at Flock. We'll move into the evening of Flock. In the afternoon, I took class from the knitting PT, Andrea, and she was phenomenal. She was so good. So I will direct you to the Knitting PT's website. She has some links that you can purchase to help, like say if your hands ache or your forearms or wrists, hips. She has like different links where you can get help. She actually also offers virtual physical therapy appointments, so she can watch you knit in your space and then kind of give you ideas and tips. some of my favorite things about her was her enthusiasm. She was really funny. I didn't know really her personality before taking the class, and it was fun to see her in person, and she has great explanations of stretches, and she's pretty funny. But one thing that I'll share with you is if you just sit right now and close your eyes and feel how you're sitting and just kind of focus on your body, starting up at your head and going down to your shoulders, down to your hips, and then to your feet. And then kind of say, oh, actually I didn't notice, but I kind of have a kink in my neck. And then you straighten out to feel better. Oftentimes we just settle into the uncomfortable feeling. So she was saying every now and then take a minute and kind of think about how you were actually feeling, and maybe adjust that. The other thing was to try to get up every hour at least, move around. She did say, standing stagnant or sitting stagnant both have a similar effect. It's movement that we want. And then an example of how well she explained things was, so like if your hands are sore, kind of give them a stretch. But, seeing me do this, you think, okay, yeah, open and close your fingers. But her explanation was, pretend you're flicking water at somebody. And that was the stretch. I thought that was such a good visual and explanation, because it's definitely a different feeling, a different stretch. So she was excellent. Highly recommend you going to check her out or taking a class if you ever can. I plan on purchasing some of those links that she has. And she has like strengthening putty. I'm tempted to get that for my mom and dad too, because that seemed pretty cool. Okay, I think that wraps it up. I did go back to the marketplace just to walk around after the class and just look mostly. And it was much emptier in the afternoon, which was kind of nice to see. And I got to see a pal who I get to meet sometimes at IKEA for knitting with her group. I've only gone once, but I have hopes to go more. And then I got to meet Explorer Knits at that time, Allie. Everybody's amazing. And then I went to the what's it called? Rooftop Rendezvous. I have to admit, I felt pretty awkward. I popped in and I didn't know what to do. And so I did leave for a little while and take a walk. I went down to Pike's Public Market. It was closed, but it was just a destination that I wanted to walk down. Got to see from the distance the Space Needle, things like that. And then Prof Purl and Stitches Be Slippin' reached out and let me know that they were going to the rooftop rendezvous for a little bit. So then I went back and met Crafty Jasmine and some other folks that they had known. But I definitely, either I hit the wall or I was totally self-conscious. But it was still amazing to see, and you got to see a lot of the vendors at that rooftop rendezvous having some appetizers and getting to socialize a little bit and relax a little bit, I hope. It was beautiful. It was so nice to be. It was like a little rooftop garden. It was quite nice. And then you got to see Jess and all her people celebrating her and taking pictures with her. So it was really fun. I just certainly felt awkward and out of place, which happens often. I also got to meet Taryn, who it's just so cool to meet people in person. There was a few people who said, "Hi, Maudie," and it was just crazy to have somebody say that to you. Barbara said it in line, getting coffee and breakfast. It was just, it was cool, but I didn't know what to say, but it was really cool. And then let's see, day 2 at Flock, I was signed up to wind yarn and be a rover if anyone needed help. I have to admit that was really, really fun to be volunteering at the venue and winding yarn. I actually learned quite a bit. I'm going to actually share right here. I might put a little video. I've been winding yarn forever and I didn't know a lot of these things. So I don't know if I could show you on this, but somebody was, let's see, Coven Collective was giving these away at that rooftop rendezvous, which was really, really nice. And Melissa gave me her second mini. But let's see if I can show you what I learned. So you have your skein. This is what I learned at the winding station. And yes, this is a mini, but we'll just pretend it'll work as if it was a large one, but it works with anything, I believe. So let's see how it is. I may regret trying to show you. But she even gave a little stitch marker, which is so sweet, with a little moon. Okay, so you open this up and you kind of try to find where it might be tied. So you find the ties, which are right here. And then I didn't know this part, but you want to give it some snaps. And then you could do it again. And I guess the idea is to, if it's a woolly wool or like a mohair, sometimes it sticks to each other, but then it kind of spreads itself out a little bit, so to make it much easier to wind. And then the rest, it's going to be harder to show because my Swift is over here. But say you put it on the Swift, and then you don't need to put it so taut. You just needed to hold it, which I always put it too tight, I think. And then you snip these off and you find the strand that's on the outside to begin winding, which I've definitely had where I start winding and the other strand like wraps around the base of it. So the inside strand, you tuck it behind. And I thought, again, I'm going to try to video this, but I thought it was interesting. So let's see, how can I show you? Pretend this is the top of my ball winder, like where you put your yarn in the groove. Afterwards, so it's holding this, you put your thumb here and then lift the ball off of the ball winder, and it created a little loop here, which also was cool. I didn't think of that. The other thing is when they have finished winding it, some folks like to put their label inside of the cake of yarn, but sometimes that can get tricky. So what they were advising was pretend this is what I just wound up, to just have it here, which again I've never done, and just kind of have it like that. I've always lost my labels. I always have cakes of yarn with no labels and I don't know what they are. So those were some good tips and tricks. But it was very fun, and very fun to see all the people come excited to wind their yarn and share what they're making, share what they bought. I actually really enjoyed it, and I had worked with 3 other people in the booth, and they were lovely and fun to talk to. So it was really fun to volunteer, and I hope to do that again. That was really fun. And of course, the snippets of yarn were being saved to spin into a future yarn. And all I could think of was pocket yarn. But it was very fun to enjoy that. Then after that, I had some lunch that they offered, a couple little like sandwich and sodas and drinks, and I think there was some hot food as well, but I had a little sandwich that was just in the convention center. And then I had a class from Alex Bird. Alex Bird has created a new addiction for me. It's Estonian knitting. It is so cool. I'm gonna put some of the pictures from her samples here, and then I'll show you my swatch. I think what I love about it is like, I always like the look and the idea of embroidery on knits, but I'm never happy with how the final product is looking in my hands. So it's not giving me the vibe that I want. And I think that this is what it is that gives me that look that I was looking for. It's just so cool. It was so cool to hear a little bit about the history. It was cool to hear about where Alex lives, and then all of the folks' swatches look so different and so amazing, and it was not difficult. It's just very different, which new things can be hard, but I love the look. So again, it sort of reminds me of kind of like embroidery on knitting, but a much cleaner and possibly more predictable outcome, and stable outcome, I guess. But I love, 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 love it. Another thought was, so this is the inside, so it's very different. So you don't really have tons of strands. You don't use as much yarn as you would in normal color work or traditional Fair Isle color work, I guess, stranded color work. So like some of her sweaters were one skein of spin cycle, or that special yarn that maybe cost a little bit more or was precious to you and you don't have a ton. It doesn't take nearly as much. So I thought that was kind of cool, but very, very addictive. So of course, now I want to knit all of her patterns and try more and join the knit along and so on and so forth. But that was very, very cool. Enjoyed the class. I thought I was bonking. I had even texted Donnie, my husband, and said, oof, I don't know, I'm done. And then I got to the class after eating, and all the people in the class were so fun and excited and love knitting, and just that energy is so great. And then once I started the Estonian knitting sample and the mystery of it, I was like, what? This is so cool. So I keep dreaming of swatches and what I possibly could combine. And again, so in this sample, the main yarn is like a DK, and then the color strands here are double that weight. So you could use, 2 strands of the DK, the same yarn, or you could use an Aran weight, or you could strand multiple yarns together. This one it's doubled up, so it's stranded, so you could do different colors. She did recommend woolly wool. You could do whatever you want. She definitely showed us samples of it in superwash, but the example was, if you brushed it down, the woolly wool holds its place a little bit better than, say, a superwash, which would kind of move a lot more when I did this or when worn, which again, it works. It's just something to know. So that was pretty cool. Loved it. Definitely felt excited about that after the class. Then I got the link. Oh, the last little bit that I got. I don't want to forget, because I am newly in love with this yarn and company. But right before that Alex Bird class, I popped in to just walk around again the marketplace one last time. And then I went to go get the lunch. But I had wound, this is what happened. I had wound Thought to Thread yarn. There's the label. I had wound it during my volunteer session, and so I had to go check it out. But this is it's a staple base, and I don't know too much. I've tried to ask a little bit more, and I'll try to find out more. But see how he has Brooklyn tweed stamp right there as well? Well, this is a staple fingering weight, and it's 100% Targhee Columbia wool, and I kind of feel... Yeah, so see, it says dyed in the Pacific Northwest, spun by Brooklyn Tweed. So I think this is a Brooklyn Tweed base dyed by thought to thread. And so this is charcoal, and this one is a second. So it was less expensive, so that's why it has the star. But this is Monstera, and this was a second. So a happy accident. The color didn't come out exactly how they were thinking, but together I thought they could make a cool vest also. I kind of picture the Island to Island by Mary Mucklestone. Again, I have to deviate from my plans for the British DK from Le Garçon, but super excited. Love the two colors together. I love the base because I've worked with burgundy tweed before. So that was my last purchase. But I'm very excited about everything. I'm very excited about the event. Then I caught the link train to get back to the airport. Almost got on the wrong one. But people were very kind when I got on and said, does this go to the airport? And they said, no, get on the other one. And we were a little bit delayed as far as the flight, but I got to find Gloria, who is Colorado knitter also, and I've seen her at Knit Morning at IKEA. So it was fun to chat with her and sit next to her on the airplane and flight home. We had quite the adventure at the Denver airport upon arrival. We just in case anyone ever arrives late at the Denver airport, if you get into the terminal where you have to get the train out, sometimes the train goes a little bit and stops with the cement walls where you're in the tunnel for a good 3 minutes that feels like an eternity, and then it'll go back and then continue on to where you need to go. But at that hour and that lack of sleep, I definitely wasn't sure what was happening on that train, so I was a little nervous, but it all worked out and we got to get off the train in the right spot. But overall, was a great trip, was a great, it was a great time. It was amazing meeting people. It's, like I said, I can be pretty shy and awkward and quiet, but it was fun to recognize people, and sometimes you already kind of know their story from either podcasts or Instagram, which makes it a little bit easier of an icebreaker. But I am super thankful I got to go, and again, thank you for everyone who said hello and for making me feel comfortable and welcome, and can't wait to share what we make with all this good stuff. All right, see ya.